Let's talk about the EZ6 Book of Quests. Quick disclaimer before we start. While I did buy this book myself, I am a huge fan of DM Scotty and EZ6, and I have affiliate links in the description, so I might be slightly biased. I will be reviewing this as objectively as possible, but do keep that in mind. The EZ6 Book of Quests is written by DM Scotty with artwork by Sean Bova, maps by Robert Rudnicki, and published by Runehammer Games. The artwork tops that in the core rulebook, and the maps are awesome. The book is the same size as the EZ6 core rulebook, and the layout by Brendish Gilliam is very readable, although there is one thing that in my opinion is the worst thing about this book. This right here. My dude, it's practically a crime against humanity. But then again, these books don't spend a lot of time idle on my shelf. Now, I've had this book since the day it was released, but I held off on making a review for some time because honestly I had no clue about how to talk about it without spoiling big chunks of it. I hope I figured it out, but the plus side is I have had time to run or play some of the scenarios, so I can give more insight on the overall package. What you get in this book are 18 scenarios for your games of EZ6. If you play twice a month, that will take you a good half year to play through, or even longer if you do what my party and I are doing and mixing them in between other scenarios. All the scenarios are laid out in a very digestible format. Bullet points describing the events, and main characters and encounters, a map, and a die 20 table of random details your players can run into. These details are mostly fairly minor, but they go a long way to flesh out each scenario, and can take the game in a different direction depending on what your characters make of them. The format looks sparse compared to other more verbose modules, but I found it to be very easy to read and remember. To give an example, I managed to run the Lost City of Yulia, that one, with less than 1 hour preparation after a 12-hour workday, and that session went great. I wouldn't have been able to do it if I had to filter through several pages of details to get to the core of it. The scenarios are divided into 3 categories: Townsend Trials, Darkness Falls, and the Making of Legends. While all the scenarios can be played independently, there is a common thread through the stories that becomes more pressing in the later adventures. Since EZ6 is not a level system, in theory you could play any of the scenarios with a starting party. That said, I think that the scenarios in the Making of Legends work best with slightly more experienced players. That's players, not characters. And a party that has had time to gather some magic items and equipment. The reason I say that is that this section is extremely high stakes, so players fresh to role-playing might find it quite overwhelming. The reason I would suggest having a better equipped party is because while you can tune down the difficulty to fit any party, the stakes work best if the players come out of the game feeling like they achieved something amazing very few people could have accomplished, and simplifying it too much will take it away from them. On the other hand, Townsend Trials and Darkness Falls are easily adaptable to any party. Any of the quests in Townsend Trials would make an excellent interactive game to the system. In fact, the pest control scenario has been used that way a few times, and if you don't mind spoilers, you can watch it being played through on Shadows of Arconia. When Dungeon Matron ran the scenario for us, we did take a slightly different route and set fire to the forest and blow up the town bakery. But we sure got rid of the pest problem. That's just the way we roll. The locations these adventures take place in aren't linked up in some kind of world map, so you can drop them in as needed. In fact, DM Scotty suggests you build up your world as you go along, depending on what your players want to do and where they choose to go. You can also easily drop them into an existing world. However, if you do that, I would suggest reading the last 2 adventures, the Sordid Sanctuary and the Temple at the End of the World, very carefully first, as they can have significant consequences to your game world, which you might not like if you've been meticulously homebrewing it for the last 4 decades. In my opinion, all the quests are fantastic, but that's not where the greatest value of the book lies. Many of the situations presented in it are masterclasses in encounter design. Take the main antagonists, for example. When creating a boss monster, it's fairly easy just to let it do more damage and absorb more hits, but the creatures in this book are way more interesting. One great example is the Grindelach, I think I pronounced that right, which is incredibly weak and never actually attacks. But it is incredibly infuriating to deal with, as it causes all sorts of havoc. Others, like the creature in Down on the Doomdock, which quest bore terrain in for our group a few weeks back, cannot be harmed at all, and the players have to put on their thinking caps to figure out a solution. These things are far more memorable than problems you solve by randomly rolling high numbers on the dice. The locations are also designed for memorable events. To take one example, the Plague of Vermin has these walkways suspended over an abyss. If the party ends up in a fight there's a good chance that some of them may get knocked off to an instant death. Now, with karma and hero dice and things like that, the risk is a bit lower, but it's never zero. So a perfectly normal fight scene there becomes a very memorable high-tension event. Overall, I'd say that the Book of Quests is a great book to get if you're into Easy D6. And even if you prefer other systems, there are plenty of ideas and scenarios to plunder in here. If you want to check it out, there are affiliate links to it on Drive2RPG. And if you want to learn more about Easy D6, you can watch my review of the core book here. Bye!